You're live.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening, and I have a whole new appreciation for those sitting out there on those benches because I just found out how uncomfortable they really are. So, yes. We're going to open with our public hearing tonight. It's an ordinance to amend and reenact the rates, rules, and regulations for furnishing sewer service at Elkins and vicinity, Randolph County, West Virginia, by increasing the rates charged therefor. Is there anyone here for public comment? If not, the hearing is closed. Okay, we're going to start now with an invocation, and that'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you will please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and all the blessings you have given us. We thank you for providing us the opportunity to serve the citizens of Elkins. We ask that you guide us in our decision-making as we strive to help our community grow. We also ask that you watch over and guide our country's leaders. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will now call the Elkins Common Council meeting to order and ask our clerk to take roll, please.
Councilor Bros Freganera.
Here.
Councilor Chenoweth is going to be late this evening, he said. Councilor Kwanzo.
Present.
Councilor Griggs is absent. Councilor Guy.
Present.
Councilor Hinchman.
Here.
Councilor Lowther.
Here.
Councilor Parker.
Here.
Councilor Severino.
Here.
And Councilor Vest.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone here for public comment tonight? If not, we will go down to the minutes portion, and I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
So moved.
What's up?
Did you present the minutes?
Yeah. There's two.
All right. Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Any comments? I don't have that.
The diverging copies, but I promise this is the one published. We have minutes for the regular meeting of April 6th first.
For April 6th. So we have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And then minutes of April 18th.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the April 18th meeting, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under your correspondence, you have the approved minutes of committee, boards, and commissions. Thank you. And we have a presentation tonight from the Preservation Alliance of West Virginia. So I'd like to welcome you.
Hi everyone, I'm Jamie Billman. I'm the Preservation Manager at the Preservation Alliance of West Virginia. I wanted to take this time to introduce myself as I have offices next door in the Darden House. I wanted to thank you for letting us rent that space. It's extremely lovely. And I wanted to make sure you guys realized that we were here. We could serve as a resource for you for any historic properties you're endeavoring to preserve and to help you in any capacity, such as offering. I handed out our annual report. You'll see some example projects we've done, such as window repair and also masonry repair. And that's just a small sampling of what we do. We house an AmeriCorps program, much like AFNHA, which you might be more familiar with. Our members serve everywhere as north as Wheeling and as south as Logan County, so I do travel quite a bit, but that's okay, and I enjoy my time while I'm here. So if you have any questions about what we can help you with, I'd love to answer.
Can you expand on how you can help? I think when I'm wearing a hat with, the city owns also the comp house as well.
Sure.
I know there's grants that you all offer, but maybe say what other ways that you can assist.
Sure, so we are the statewide nonprofit for historic preservation. We can help you with a variety of things from building assessments, condition assessments, to organizing an AmeriCorps project where we could potentially bring in a teacher, do a workshop that also simultaneously repairs some aspect of your building. That's a common model that we use. As an example, just today I was up in Barber County helping them with a conditions assessment on an 1829 log cabin. So I've gotten fairly good at working with a variety of building mediums. Typically I'm more knowledgeable on the masonry side of things, but that's, I think a lot of people, when they have historic buildings, they just don't know where to start. And so, you handed out just a small checklist we provide that you can use to kind of prioritize certain aspects of your building. It can show you what is more important to start with versus stuff you can leave for, a bit later that might just be a little more cosmetic or aesthetic. And so those are kind of, we can do masonry, plaster, windows, or wooden floor refinishing. There are a variety of things we've done.
Do you help with grant writing as well?
We have not helped others with grant writing in the past. We are an organization that is entirely grant funded ourselves. And so typically when we have time to write grants, it's to do that. But in the past, we have received grants to sub-grant out to different organizations. One we're working with in Randolph County is Beverly, and their Logan House is one of our recent awardees for our grant program. So we don't necessarily help others with grant, but we like to try to lead people in the right direction to find grants that would be able to help them.
Are there any other questions tonight? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving on to the committee reports, we will start with Councilor Guy.
No report.
Thank you. Councilor Hinchman.
Finance is not met. Next meeting will be May the 1st at 10 o'clock. We've also been doing some research on some other grants.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Severino.
No report.
Thank you. Councilor Lawler.
Parks will have a special call meeting next Wednesday at 5 p.m. It'll be an executive session, short, one agenda item meeting. May 6th at 11 a.m. is the opening day for Babe Ruth. City Council has been invited. They would like to recognize all parties involved with the funding of the bleacher project at the ball field. And the next regular Parks meeting will be May 17th at 5 p.m. at the Phil Gaynor Center.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Bras-Ferganera.
Sure. The Rules and Ordinance Committee met and continued our discussion on the updated and revised and extended animal ordinance. Great conversation as always. And we also touched upon the mural sign situation that was then, and I will segue into the Planning Commission where that was one of the topics of conversation, is how we will move forward in some capacity to work with public arts groups in the future. And we are also discussing utilizing our West Virginia University Land Use Clinic to help us with our new comprehensive plan that we are mandated to do. So they will be assisting us in creating that mandated document, and we will be giving out more information as we get closer to that. We are really looking forward to having public conversations about the city and its comprehensive plan. And then finally, the tree board will be active with the Earth Day celebration, which is this Saturday in City Park. We invite everybody there. The tree board will be handing out tree seedlings, and there'll be lots of other really nice activities for children from noon until 2. We are not going back in time. Noon until 2, rain or shine, sadly.
Thank you so much. Councilor Kwanzo.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. And I'll start with the tree board since Nancy just mentioned the Earth Day events. Arbor Day is April the 28th, and we will be planting a tree this year in Elkins City Park, and we'll have our mayor will be there, and we will be planting a dogwood tree this year that will be replacing a tree that was removed downtown in front of Sue Piper's sewing shop. That tree was planted as a memorial tree, and we'll be replacing a dogwood in City Park. As far as municipal properties, which met on the 19th of April, I think that Mr. Stokes will be talking about the sound issues in the proposal there, so I won't go into that, but it was discussed. We also talked about the review of the Industrial Access Road Program, which I was hoping maybe Ms. Roberts would talk about this evening, but...
She actually had to go be with her sister this evening, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we'll let you do that. Preservation Alliance was also there giving us a report as they had this evening here. We talked a little bit about City Hall security, and I'm sure the operations manager will be filling us in on that. It's quite extensive, and I think there's a lot of good information there to be discussed. He'll also probably be talking about the recycling hours that which have changed somewhat, and with some complications that have arisen there. And City Hall garden maintenance will be passed over to Terra Flora after the tree board, which has been doing it for about 4 years annually, and ongoing all year long. They'll be taking it over, hopefully, with our fingers crossed, after we finish the initial cleanup, which will be in May. And that's all I have. Thank you.
And we're planting the dogwood at 2 o'clock, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, want to make sure.
2 o'clock.
Thank you so much. Okay, Councilor Vest.
I have no report, but the ad hoc audit committee will meet next month, third Tuesday, May the 16th.
Thank you.
1 o'clock.
Councilor Parker.
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. I'm very disappointed, though.
Come on, Dave.
Okay, moving down to our staff reports, we have Chief Bennett. You understand everybody's disappointment now, Councilor Parker.
Good evening. I'll be very brief this evening. I wanted to report on the body-worn camera systems that we fielded near the end of last month and completed the training a few weeks after that, off and on. As of this morning, we've collected over 500 videos already, so those systems are working pretty much flawlessly right now. We've already had the opportunity to export and share video for a FOIA request, as well as to the Randolph County Prosecutor's Office for a case that's over there. So everything seems to be working really well with those. A couple of upcoming events that we have is next week on Wednesday, we'll be assisting the ERCC facility with an emergency drill. And on May 13th, we will be participating in Hooked on Fishing, Not on Drugs. So if you get a chance to stop by and see our booth, come on by and check us out and maybe win a fishing pole or something. You never know. Other than that, unless anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Kessiker.
Mayor and Council, good evening. I'll try to be brief as well. The flood control project is still scheduled to begin on the 26th of this month, so we will be listed as active with the Army Corps of Engineers here really soon, which will be good. Should anything arise where we have to exercise that, it'll help us with any type of funding. Did have a meeting with USDA. We've started the preliminary paperwork for a low-interest loan for the HVAC system here at City Hall. There are 5 requirements we have to submit to let them look at it to see if we qualify. And Tracy and I are also working at getting some quotes from local banks to see if they can compete with the interest rates on the low-interest loan. We have to get letters of denial to be eligible for this. And basically, even if we're approved locally, as long as the USDA can beat the interest rate, that would qualify us as a letter of denial. So that'll work out well for us. Sanitation garage project is moving along nicely. We were out there today with the power company looking at relocating a couple telephone poles and some wires. Talked about running some things underground and realized how expensive that actually can be. So it's quite expensive. For those of you that have been in City Hall in and out the last couple of days, last week. Probably noticed a lot of noise, a lot of dust, a lot of disturbance, but it's progress. We are getting everything ready to run the cables from the basement clear to the 3rd floor so we can have internet and phone access up there in those offices and be ready to roll to occupy them. So apologize for the disturbance and the dust and the noise, but it's a necessary evil. So it's working out really well there. Bid opening for the demolitions is Monday at 2 p.m. Excited about that. City Hall security was spoken about at the municipal property meeting. Got a meeting, don't know exactly what date yet, trying to coordinate schedules with the company that provides our current security system, key fobs, about as far as it goes. So we're going to talk about ways we can increase the security, the access, looking at the glass door downstairs. Is that actually, we had a bid of $11,000 to repair the glass door so it shuts correctly. And I think possibly we realize in light of things that's happened nationally, that glass door isn't always the most secure way to secure a building. So we're looking into different options there instead of putting $11,000 into something that might not be the proper thing. Still looking into the extending some hours for the recycling center. It's really difficult this time of year with getting ready to go into the paving projects and everything going on, trying to pull guys off of projects to have them work later hours or come in later. So we're still bouncing some ideas off of each other. We're reaching out to different people to see if they would be willing to take our brush for less cost and see if that savings could offset maybe having some help to be there for extended hours. So still looking into it, be some updates hopefully soon on that. And the last thing I want to report is, again, kind of the focal point since I've been hired is code enforcement. And we have listed 7 more vacant properties. In the last month, we have 10 vacant properties that have been registered now, so they're complying with us. 5 that we have sent letters to have come in and resolved it and proved they're not vacant, so we move about our business. And we have also involuntarily registered 2 that have completely ignored our notices. We have sent 22 derelict vehicle warning letters out. We have already begun towing. We've towed 3 vehicles. We have 11 of them that have come in and been registered with DMV. And we also have had to move off their property outside of city limits. We've sent out 8 trash warning letters. 7 of them have been cleaned up and resolved. That is my report. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to entertain them.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Judy?
Good evening. In your packet, you should have the treasurer's report. Does anybody have any questions regarding that? And then I also had at your seats the report from the first meeting in April that I didn't realize that Sutton had sent out by email. So if there's any questions regarding that, but it shows you the revenues and the expenses as they're budgeted for in the upcoming fiscal year. And finally, I was notified today that our last quarter sales tax deposit will be for $353,073.14. That'll give us an annual total of $1,466,879.11, and that's about $4,700 less than last year. And anybody have any questions? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Himes?
Good evening. Year-to-date incident count, we are at 183 calls for service, so we're just right up on that 600 call average, about like normal. Some of the excitement last week, we were able to extricate a 6-year-old's hand from a gumball machine at the Chinese restaurant. That was exciting. One thing I want to speak about is the burn ban that is going, that the governor sent out over the weekend. we have a crew in Franklin as we speak. That fire has grown to several hundred acres and has taken a couple structures down, so they called for help about 2 o'clock this afternoon. And so we are not issuing any city burning permits until further notice, until that ban is lifted. I know in speaking with guys from forestry in the past, they tell me that when the humidity gets down in the 30%, that you really need to be careful what you're doing. And then I looked at the weather today, and the humidity was 15%. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. So, and other than that, we'll have a booth as well at Hofnod and next month. So, other than that, business as normal. Good. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
Mr. Stokes.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a few things to mention. The main thing that the clerk's office is focused on right now is the upcoming election. You'll have resolutions related to appointing poll workers later in the meeting. Resolution for appointing them and resolution for paying them, which is important too. I met with the county clerk, Brenda Wiseman, yesterday. She's always a great partner with the city on elections. She came over to help set me up on the electronic voter registration system that the early voting will use and that I'll need to use to issue absentee ballots, which will start going out a week from tomorrow. And then as Councilor Kwanzaa mentioned, we have this loner speaker that we've been enjoying the last few meetings. It does look like seems like a solid consensus that we should move ahead and get similar technology installed. And we have a proposal to do that with electronic specialty. So I'll work with the treasurer on any necessary budget revision. I think they said they could install that in May, and we can keep the loaner until they do the installation. So I think that'll be a big improvement. Can you hear us in the back? There you go. And again, this is just tucked in the corner here. It's not set up the way they're going to do it once they do the real installation. So, and then finally, as you've noticed, or I hope you've noticed, I'm kind of expanding the use of Civic Clerk to the committee meetings. So we're going to try to do those similar to the way we do council. However, I know some of you like to get a PDF, and I know there have been some glitches with Civic Clerk in this week. So like my email said, there's going to be this shared folder on your hard drives where I'm going to put a PDF of the meeting packet in that as a fallback. So you'll at least have that. And that's all I have for now.
Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on to the approval of the vendor invoice payments.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Moving on to new business, it'll be ordinance 312, an ordinance to amend and reenact the rates, rules, and regulations for furnishing sewer service at Elkins and vicinity, Randolph County, West Virginia, by increasing the rates charged therefore. This is the second and final reading. I'm entertaining a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1645, ratification of Industrial Access Road Program Agreement between the West Virginia Division of Highways, Randolph County Development Authority, and City of Elkins for road work related to the RCDA's industrial park expansion. At this time, I'm going to ask Executive Director Morris to come up and explain this, please. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. As you will recall, it was, I believe Jerry Roberts said May of 2022, maybe a little later than that, the city agreed in principle to abandon Riverbend Park Road and turn that over to the West Virginia Division of Highways to be put into the state system. Since that time, I have been working with DOH on Industrial Access Road Grant that would build an entrance into the Oddfellows, former Oddfellows property that is now, we are working to develop as an expansion of the industrial park. And the first, we were awarded a grant. We received the last $280,000 that was in that program from fiscal year 2022. And we've been working on the grant agreement. There was some turnover within the office that handles these types of grants, so there was a delay there. But there was also a couple of provisions within the grant agreement that the RCDA had to work through, and also 2 issues that Jerry Roberts had on behalf of the city. So because the city is turning this road over, it's our grant application, and obviously the DOH's money. That's why it's a 3-party agreement. So the 2 issues that Jerry had was, one, the state wanted a general warranty deed from the city, which is, I've come to learn, is a rarity. Her comment was DOH probably rarely ever gives a general warranty deed, so she wanted to provide an offer.
Mr. Morris, can you just talk a little more directly into the mic? I'm sorry.
Yes. So she wanted a special warranty deed, which the West Virginia DOH agreed to. And then also, I don't know if this was an error or done intentionally, but the original agreement said that even though the city would be turning over Riverbend Park Road to the state, the city would still be responsible for ice and snow removal. They would take care of maintenance of the actual roadway minus the snow and ice maintenance. And I didn't like that. Obviously, Jerry didn't like that either, so we requested that that be changed, and that change was granted as well. So the 2 issues that Jerry had on behalf of the city have been resolved. We have a final version of the grant agreement, which I have here with me today. The RCDA earlier this week at a special call meeting on Monday, I believe, Monday or Tuesday, approved the agreement. So now we are here seeking the city's approval.
Thank you, sir.
As a reminder, there's no cost to the city of Elkins. Actually, we'll be taking a little cost off of you, hopefully. So,
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion for Resolution 1645.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Morris.
who should I give these to? These are the original copies. Oh, giving me the opportunity to say it, and that's what I was going to do. Have those executed and then get those back to you.
Thank you. Okay, ordinance 313, the ordinance abandoning section of Riverbend Road to West Virginia DOH. This is the first of 2 readings. I'll entertain a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Ordinance 314, amending City Code, Chapter 52, Sewers and Sewage. This is the first of 2 readings. I'll entertain a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1644, authorizing conditions of agreement between Abertium and the City of Elkins for an IT assessment. I'll entertain a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
And I'll just interject, in your packets, it stated that the city attorney hadn't signed off yet, but she did get the changes that she wanted this afternoon, and we have the updated contract with the change she wanted, so.
What was the change you wanted?
She wanted a change in the,
The litigation state.
yeah, what state laws would apply in the case of litigation between the city and the company. She wanted that changed to West Virginia, and she got that.
Yeah, it was Tennessee.
So we have a motion. Any comments or discussion?
Who moved?
Marilyn.
Who made the?
Oh, Mike did. Sorry, Councilor Henchman. Any other comments or discussion?
Can somebody explain what the purpose of this project is?
It's to do an
The agreement.
assessment of, it's to do an assessment of our IT needs for the entire city, to take a look at what our needs are for right now and for the future.
Okay. And the cost of this is
$24,999.
$24,999.
$990. $24,990.
Okay. And with that cost, I guess at that price, we're not having to put it out on bid or get
Correct.
any other?
I thought,
Okay.
I'm maybe confused, but I thought we had discussed having another, putting it out for bid, but we did not?
You discussed it, but then you agreed to push it forward as is from the ARPA meeting.
Would it behoove the city to see if there was other
A
companies?
typical assessment like this is probably going to run you between $40,000 to $60,000, so they're giving us a really good bargain on this, to be honest with you. So that's why the ARPA committee agreed to push forward with the price that they're providing. What they're going to give us is basically an RFP that we can put out then, or RFQ, that we can put out for bid to meet our needs.
Oh, I'm sorry, what is that?
Once they finish their assessment, the city will receive an RFQ that we can then put out for bid to then meet the needs of where we need to be, to make sure that we're meeting NIST standards and that all of our information is secure within the city. Because right now, we're not positive that it is, and we don't know what we don't know. So that's why we agreed to do an assessment on this.
Okay, so they just do the assessment,
Yes,
and then they say, okay, there's problems,
correct.
and then we send out the
Yes.
RFQ, or
Did-
RF.
Didn't we set aside money, additional money from the ARPA funds to pay for what they may or may
Yes.
not find that we need to do?
Correct.
Okay, well, I apologize because I was not at that meeting. But I'm always one that likes to get a couple of bids on things, just to see what is out there. So I guess I'll leave it at that.
Sir, if I may, do I understand correctly that the city attorney has not yet put her stamp of approval on the contract?
She has.
She
She has
has.
it this afternoon, she has, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I think what you didn't hear was that there were some changes that needed to be made, and she was able to obtain those.
Okay.
Yes. Any other questions or comments? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1646, compensation increase for the police chief. I'll entertain a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
I'm sorry. You already did 1645, my mistake.
We're good.
1646.
Okay, we have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Resolution 1647, the Elkins Fire Department budget, or fund budget revision. This is the second, or number 2 for fiscal year '23, sorry. I'll entertain a motion to accept, please.
So,
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1648, establishing compensation rates for city election officials. I will entertain a motion to accept, please.
I move the acceptance.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1649, appointing election officials for the 2023 city election. I will entertain a motion to accept, please.
I move the motion be accepted.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1650, absorbing increase in PEI medical insurance costs for the fiscal year 2024. I will entertain a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving down to mayor's comments, I will tell you now, they will probably be very brief tonight because my wife and I woke up at about 3 o'clock this morning to the nice aroma of a skunk in our backyard, so I am limited on my sleep at this point in time. So I will say that we were able to attend the Technical Center open house last night at our VOTEC Center, and it was a tremendous opportunity to go up and meet with the students and let them tell you about the skill sets that they're learning and how excited they were about the projects they had. So I saw several council members up there. I really hope they make this an annual event. We met some just wonderful children, or students, I'll say, young adults, that are taking great pride in their skills. And you never know, we may have future city employees up there at this point coming down, so that's what we need to look at. I will say, since we have been talking about dilapidated properties quite a bit in the newspaper, and Mr. Kessicker has been reporting on this, we have received several phone calls from citizens wanting to know if their property qualifies, that they would like to be taken down because no one's living there. So people are now volunteering their properties, so we are addressing those and adding some of those to the list as well, and his staff's doing a terrific job with that. And I want to thank our normal visitors that are here tonight, but I also want to thank the folks from Leadership Randolph County. We had a good opportunity to meet with them this afternoon and explain how city government works. And Jessica Sutton, which some of you may know, set up a really cool tabletop exercise with them that we got to participate in. So great experience. So Jessica, thank you for that. So with that,
I had one question, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, just, what happens next with the streetscape plan? You know, we saw it, and then now what happens to it?
Well, you need money to execute any of it, and so that'll be the next question, is securing funding for it. That is a type of project that was listed as a potential use of the TIF funds, but there isn't anything locked in about it yet. But what you have is a conceptual plan. The next step would be to secure funding. The next step would be to create construction documents of whatever phase that you decided to move ahead on.
But I also think we have to finalize the plan because this was the master, which can be adjusted, obviously. So I think we're going to have to finalize the plan to see what pieces we do want to incorporate.
Is that something that municipal properties will be sort of how does this work?
You'd correct me if I'm wrong, the operations manager would probably be looking at what would fit in. I mean, would you like to take that, Mike?
Yeah.
We'll look into, what changes would want to be made and see what fits and what doesn't fit. And then at that point, I think we would take it to municipal properties. I know we have submitted for funding requests. We're waiting for some answers to come back on that. I'm not sure the timeline as to when we'll get those answers, but we have submitted some funding requests for that. So, that would be the process in my mind as to how it would work.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. In addition to possibly using TIF funds, the city applied for congressionally directed funding. That was one of the projects. So I guess that would be the first thing, is waiting to hear back about that. And that would tell you what you could do initially.
But I will be surprised if a budget gets passed this year. I'll figure they'll be on continuing resolution most of the year. I figure the federal government will probably be on continuing resolution. If I had to predict this based on my experience through the federal government, this will probably be one of the years where they remain on continuing resolution for the majority of the year. I'll be shocked if they pass a budget. Just being honest. Any other comments, questions, or alibis?